That'd be too much.
It's very.
I think I'm going tomorrow. Not nice skating.
Yeah, that's why.
Okay, so it's picking up some of your conversation, it's transcribing it, and I said, I think I'm going home tomorrow, done ice skating, yeah, that's why it's a dog.
That's true. That is why it is.
I've only been twice.
All right, here we go. First thing is first, everyone have the green slip. Take out your notes, but also take out your green slip. Give me your green slip. Everyone have this out, so just have your stuff, and soon, about 20 minutes before the bell rings, it's about 20 minutes, you go up to the library. It won't take the whole time probably, but 2 periods it did, 2 periods it did, we just all run up there real quick. And is everyone ready? Everything got signed? If you do not have it and not signed, you will go into, well,
Yeah, different community.
Yeah.
we have the corner of shame. And you'll go in there and have to waltzes where everyone else works, and we will go and mock and make fun of you.
Throw tomatoes.
Everybody was just big.
I think, AKA the socks.
Yeah.
You gotta read that upstairs though.
Partridge.
That's fine.
Yep, next week.
Are we gonna throw tomatoes at it?
Say it again.
Tomatoes are gonna throw out?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice. All right, so let's go ahead and get, take your notes out. And remember I talked about inbreeding and talked about what was the disease?
Hemophilia.
Yeah, hemophilia. Here's a couple of Habsburgs, but I just want to show you one. I gotta show Philip. Okay, that's pretty good. Just wait. Poor Carlos.
He is.
Poor Carlos. Oh, Carlos.
And you know that's. Same every portrait.
And they're trying to make him look better, and you know, yet he couldn't eat solid food. His jaw was so deformed. His chin just jutted out, and they had to pull most of his teeth because they were going in crooked or backwards or upside down. And so let's get to the July crisis. Where do we finish it? Come on, knock him out. Yeah, that preventative war. Oh, by the way, what was the name of the Slavic nationalist group that assassinated? Yeah, who was the assassin? Didn't see. What disease did he have? Let's remember that.
Tuberculosis.
Yeah, tuberculosis. And I know that's not all that important, but I said it anyway. Well, what's the super battleship that was made?
Dreadnought.
Yeah, Dreadnought. And how you doing? What is it called when you call it reserves and take over the economy? What's that called? Yeah, mobilization. And what else? I think, well, let's get going. We got Serbia, we got Archduke, there's reprisals. So we're right here then. So Austria, and this is the big thing here. Once von Moltke said war now, right? We have this, right? Actually, this is all done in secret. So Conrad, the chief of the general staff of Austria, went back ready for a full all-out invasion. And they have a mobilization plan to send everybody to Serbia and knock them out. Because now he has Germany to defend their back. And so outside of Vienna and Berlin, most people thought things had calmed down. And the threat of war appeared to be over by the 3rd week of July. We're not going to blow the world up. In fact, the Kaiser had left Berlin thinking that it was over. Problem solved. I was taking his annual sailing trip along the fjords of Norway. He did this every year in August, in July, early August. The Chancellor of Germany, Bethlen Koopman, went to a spa, but von Moltke was plotting. And then the last week of July, Austria sent a 10-point ultimatum, 10 points to Serbia. And they had 48 hours to submit to all of them exactly, or it's war. And this ultimatum was designed to be so tough, or Serbia could never agree. Basically, they'd have to give up their sovereignty. But Russia actually begged them to do it, because Russia didn't want a war. Serbia had almost no time, and they did it on a Friday afternoon. Think about Friday afternoon. So most working people had to work on Saturday at that time, but the government basically shut down on Friday. And like today, people shut down Friday, think about, the weekend, whatever. And that's when they issued it, because they wanted it to be at a time where it was kind of a slow news day. People might have been off and going to wherever. because Austria didn't want it signed. And that was a good place to kind of bury it. And that's what happens today. I don't know if you ever noticed that, but like, for example, governments will put out news they want to hide, kind of bury it. They'll do it on a Friday afternoon. They'll do it on a Friday afternoon. Many of the firings that President Trump has done, like, for example, the massive firing of probational workers, you basically gutting the Park Service and the Forest Service. They did it on a Friday afternoon. And yesterday, after the rumor was going to be that they were going to lay off a significant number of the NOAA today. I don't know if they actually did it. I haven't checked since the launch. You know what the NOAA is? We'll get to it. You know what the NOAA is? Anyone know? National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. They're the ones who do the weather. Everyone have a little weather app or something they check? 100% of the information on that comes from the NOAA. It's a goal appears to be of the Trump administration to break that up and make people pay for it.
Groundhog serves the same purpose anyway.
Huh?
The groundhog serves the same purpose.
Yeah, you're right. So what do we need that for? Now, you can say whether or not that's a good thing, but it's gonna be really unpopular, so they do it Friday afternoon. That's my point. And what we have to with the groundhog is a little more vague, but you know, close enough, right? Yeah.
It's supposed to be able to say all the things, the fires and.
Yeah. He just made a show of that. That's. Yeah. They're attacking monopolies.
It's to show that, well, it's to show that the buyer has power and.
To try to show that the people who don't have many choices, but they just, their only choice to have is by fighting the monopolies. Yeah, and probably not that many people are going to do it. So that's a problem. It would only be affecting the most lot of people. So it's a good point. And the problem that people have is, you know, if you need something, there's only monopolies. And, but I don't know what's gonna happen on this day. Yeah, the whole thing about the JFK papers. The same thing with they put up the Epstein things yesterday. They didn't release anything that wasn't already out, which is. They're just doing the misleading on that. So back to this 10-point ultimatum. Serbia agreed to. They agreed to not. They agreed to not. But you notice I put in quotes. And why I put it in quotes is for a very simple reason. They gave caveats on each one. They said, we'll do this, but we're not gonna do this part. And then basically to turn over their police to Austria, they said no. Now, everyone first saw this. And it says, you can see right there, the brutal tenure of the Austro-Hungarian note. When, like, everyone was like, God, Serbia gave up so much. Austria can't want war. Well, as you can see right there, Austria has chosen war. And Austria said that Sunday, no, not good enough. Russia immediately responded. Now they're mad. Before, they might have led a punitive strike, but now, no way. And Russia begins to, from St. Petersburg, sent the word, we might mobilize. And remember, mobilization meant. So they're threatening now Armageddon over this. But Austria doesn't care, they declare war. I put myself in 1914 and put it at present time and declares war. So they declare war. Well, what do you think Russia's gonna do? You declare war? Well, that's it. Russia mobilized. And now von Moltke went to the Kaiser, who just got back. They hurriedly came back halfway through his sailing trip. He was just above Bergen, right about here, and got back. Don't get that. But I'm not going to quit. And von Moltke went to the Kaiser and said, you have to mobilize. Russia's going to mobilize and they'll attack us first. We have no choice. And this is exactly what von Moltke wanted, to mobilize and go to war. And so now Germany's mobilizing. Who has to mobilize next? France has no choice. You ever got that? France has no choice. And like a lightning bolt, Europe is at war. Those are the first mobilized men marching right under the Brandenburg Gate in Berlin. So here's a funny cartoon. Well, now, yeah, it's kind of funny. Serbia is saying, if you touch me, Austria, Russia, Germany, France, Britain. That's not quite the way it happened, but yeah, close enough. This is a easy to follow 15-point path to war on a map. I just thought this was amusing, so I put this in. But war declared by all. Have you heard of the Onion? The Onion is a satirical newspaper. So it uses, exaggeration, it uses irony to make fun of the situation. So basically what it's doing is it's using enough of reality to show just how ridiculous this war was. So I love this. War declared by all. Austria declares war on Serbia, declares war on Germany, etc. I like the Ottoman Empire declares war on itself. Nations struggle to remember allies, and that map is ridiculous. And so the Onion started about 30 years ago. They did a book. They sold basically headlines of the 20th century. And they made their satirical headlines of all these events. So they have the moon landing and stuff. It's great. And I really think it's really funny, but look at that headline. See the headline? Let me give you a real headline. It's not very much different, is it? Now, I like satire, very much, but you have to be in tune to it. My other two favorite things is area drunkard declares war on Ireland, and assassination of Archduke spreads fear in Archduke Convention. Yeah, that might be my favorite one. So, war declared by all. Now, what day is it today, by the way? It's Flamingo Friday. We need a drum roll, please. Drum roll. We need it. Yes! Come on, give it up, give it up. Look at the majesty of the rat now. Glowing, basking in the glow of the flamingo.
The batteries?
Huh?
You get the batteries?
No, it's overjoyed to see you. And if you notice the rug is majestic, isn't it? Look at it. Look. Some of you don't quite appreciate this. Next year, you're going to go into some classroom and you're going to, where's the rug? Nope. No rug. I won't let you back in this. No way. I have rules around here. So, remember that one picture I showed you, the little caricature map? Here's one of Britain right when the war began. They always talked about the huge Russian army as a steamroller, the bear, the German dachshund, with the British bulldog biting his nose. Right there. And I like Norway and Sweden as otters. I don't know what Italy is. And Greece. The Ottomans bottling up the Bosphorus and the Dardanelles. I think they're so funny. There's so many of them. So August 4th, 1914 is considered the beginning, the actual beginning of World War I. So basically what happened is this. We have Austria declare war on Serbia. Boom, everyone mobilizes. And now we have war. So Germany, well, let's review. No, I'll come back to this. Germany, they sent an ultimatum to Belgium on the 2nd. Let us in or we go to war. Belgium said no. And that led to this. Germany ultimatum to Belgium. Belgium said no. The UK sent an ultimatum to Germany. Don't attack Belgium. And of course, Germany said, no, we're doing it. And so Britain declared war on August 4th. And when Britain declared war, that is when it's considered to be the worldwide war. There's already fighting in Serbia, and everyone's going to soon forget about Serbia. But that's considered it. You could see England, Britain, and Germany at war. Because once Britain's in the war, you're going to have colonial wars. We'll be fighting in the Mediterranean. There's going to be fighting in the Pacific very soon. It's worldwide. There's going to be a massive naval battle just off the coast of Chile very soon. This is a huge war. So let's review. I talked a lot. It's kind of confusing, isn't it? So let's review what happened. Are you ready? Archduke Franz Ferdinand assassinated by Serbian nationalists. Got that, right? So naturally, Germany attacks Belgium. Right? When I say it like that, that makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Just obviously, Germany had no chance but to attack Belgium. They had no choice. So that sounds like a heading that could be on the onion. And it shows you how ridiculous this war is. If you really think about it, you've got to be kidding me. 15 million people are there. And this will directly lead to something that will even be more horrific. World War II. It's unbelievable. If Principe would have went to a different Delhi, we might not have had this war. So they started calling the Great War almost immediately. You'll start hearing the war to end all wars by 1918. Sometimes the World War. There have been other world wars, but they were kind of wars for empire that were more just, relatively localized little fights, not a total war fight to the finish. But it's amazing how fast, on September 1st, 1939, on that very day, they started calling this World War I. What happened on September 1st, 1939? Germany attacked Poland, starting World War II. It's just like literally that day, newspapers came out and started calling the current war that literally just started World War II. How fast that happened. So everybody said it was a just and defensive war. A just and defensive war. And you can see from this cartoon, here we have everybody blaming each other, and there with a knife in their heart is the piece of it. A just and defensive war. But in reality, what's the only one of the great powers that had no choice? Who? Yeah, France. Exactly right. France is the only one. Every other country had a choice. France had no choice. But now they're all at war. So was it a just and defensive war? No, everybody but France had a choice. But the big thing is, to Germany, this is the definition of a preventive war and shows all the problems of a preventive war. So I put down preventive war and put down Germany next to it. That's what Germany looked at. And what was Germany thinking? This is what von Moltke was thinking. Someday, France and Russia are going to get so strong, they're going to squash us. And every day we wait, they get stronger, we get weaker. Russia's industrializing right there, right now. They will attack us. This should remind you of something. This is exactly what the South said when they seceded. Someday the North is going to attack our economic system. Someday the Republican Party is going to get too strong. Every day we wait, they get stronger, we get weaker. That's exactly what Germany said. Every day they get stronger, we get weaker. Which, by the way, can you predict the future? Not really. So couldn't you use this as a justification for any war, any aggression? This is exactly what Russia used. Vladimir Putin, their dictator, said Ukraine was a threat to the world. They were a Nazi state. They're going to attack us. So we have to attack first. No, but that's what he said. Which, by the way, is now the official position of the United States, that Ukraine was the aggressor. That is the official position of the United States right now. So we did a 180 on that. But back to this. This is a big deal. And what a dumb mistake. So everybody was euphoric. An absolute euphoria before the war. And I can't emphasize this enough. We finally gonna fight this war. They've been talking about it for years, and now we can get them. Now we can fight it. So look at these scenes of cheering and there's handing bread to, these are French cavalry. Look at the way the cavalry are dressed. It looks like it's 1815 and they're fighting for Napoleon. They still got steel armored plates, which will do nothing. And helmets with plumes, and some are carrying lances like it's 1815. So that touch of medieval. And these are French reservists going off. See the trains in the background. Here are thousands of British men to volunteer because they didn't have the draft. So many men volunteered that it shut the economy. And they had to pull them back from the war. A bunch of men. Other countries, they had mobilization planned. Britain, it just was chaos. Here, thousands coming out to the Summer Palace in St. Petersburg, Russia. But Germany, it was absolute euphoria. Finally, we get it. Get this war, fight it out, and show the superiority of Germany. Here are, look at the flowers and the helmets and the rifle butts. They're marching along with them to the glory, and they're all worried we might miss out on the fun. This one is very sad one, very quiet. He eats the flowers, saying goodbye to his wife. His mom is adjusting his family. But the thought was they'd be maybe 2 months. Maybe 2 months. Here's another German one, a couple more German ones. Handing flowers and sweets. They're in boxcars ready to go. 1914, it says off to Paris, and Paris right there. This one is not kind of unreal. So remember I told you 19 is when they drafted. Well, all these young men who are over 18, and they'll be in the next draft call-up, they let them volunteer right when the war began. So here are these young men, so not just slightly older than you guys, and they're just overjoyed. They can volunteer because they're so afraid they might miss the fun and the excitement. And so they're going off to war. There was just this jubilation. There's a madness that hits with war, literally called war madness. And this shows it really well. So you can imagine that these big rallies in every town to celebrate. And if there were like any immigrants in Germany who did not join the army, they let them volunteer too. And so there's an immigrant from Austria, let's say. And a decade after the war, they actually found his picture, his face, in this massive rally in Munich in front of the Munich Opera House. Right there. And they found him for propaganda reasons and blew it up in 1927, 1928. And he was an immigrant from Austria who actually fled Austria to avoid the draft in the Austrian army. He didn't want to be conscripted into that army. And now he's volunteering for the Bavarian army within the German Empire. Who's that guy? That's Adolf Hitler. And the Nazi Party, the National Socialists, found this picture because it fit in very well with their propaganda. Part of his appeal was that of a veteran who went through the same thing that all the soldiers went through. So Hitler joined in 1914, that August. He would become a hero. He would be awarded the Iron Cross twice for bravery. Here he is. He ran messages. And you can imagine how dangerous that would be to get out of the trench and run messages. So you had to be a master of disguise. So here he is right there. As you can see, they couldn't see him or identify him. Can you see him? Always be very afraid of somebody. They have an X over their head. That's somebody to be very wary about. They've been marked as evil. Here they put that picture up there. Yes, that's Hitler right there. So that's 1915. That's in Belgium. Okay, we all think of we think of a mustache with Hitler, right? Little mustache right here. Why? Why did he have that mustache? Huh?
The gas mask.
Yeah, gas. The gas mask would. So they needed a clear, a flush face to put that on. So almost also, you see American soldiers that have a little mustache. They wanted a mustache. So the gas mask. That's the reason for the mustache. After the war, that identified him as a veteran. He's a veteran. So that's why he had a mustache. His mustache was to symbolize he went through the same hell you did. And for what? Cheated. We should have won. So, also Bobby's, we're working on a brand new life vest. So I thought I'd throw that in there. These are British police officers called Bobby's jumping into the Thames with a life vest from 1914. Had nothing to do with it, but I still wanted to show you this. So, the war began like this. August, I should have. What about Serbia? Everyone forgot about Serbia right away. Yeah, it's just like, oh my God. Austria had to change their plans because the Russians were coming. The German army began to march into Belgium. Belgium fought as hard as they could. On the Meuse River are a bunch of cities where they had fortified every city, and that's where the bridges are. And that was the Belgian plan, to hold out along the river. Here's the Belgian army marching off to war. They wore blue uniforms like the French did, and they had war dogs. So look at all these dogs hauling their stuff. Didn't work very well. Dogs were very good for like patrols and things like that. Armies use dogs now. I know. But the dogs hauling stuff, dogs would run away from things like machine guns. But I do like the fact they're wearing top hats. I think that's pretty cool, right? That's pretty cool. Okay, the town that was the most important would become famous is called Liège. Liège was surrounded by forts. So these are the forts here. There's stars in this picture. And some had cement walls as thick as 20 feet. Yeah, massive. And then the roofs 8 to 10, I'm sorry, 4 to 5 feet in some areas of cement. And this fort was supposed to withstand the heaviest artillery, at least they thought. And this slowed up these forts. These are Belgium soldiers working on the border. Slowed up the Germans for 2 weeks. Remember, they hadn't finished off the French, and then finish off the Russians. Liège became plucky little Belgium, holding out, fighting. Can Belgium do it? But then the new technology, the Germans had been working on a massive howitzer, which lobbed its shells at a high arc. And this would be named after the daughter of the manager of the company that built this, Krupp. So Krupp today still works. The daughter's name was Bertha, thus at Liège, Big Bertha. And I will say to this day, poor Bertha, but Big Bertha. Big Bertha was a 420 millimeter howitzer. How big is 420 millimeters? 16 inches. It can fire a shell 2,200 pounds. And not very long range. So it actually it was obsolete by 1915. But it shows you how technology, this massive gun, which this size gun could only be on ships, began to lob shells on the forts and one by one reduce them and drove the small garrisons to literally insanity. And Liège fell. The point is, technology has changed everything they thought about the war and made it so much more deadly. So that's the forts afterwards. By the way, the forts are still there. If you go to Liège, you can go to these forts because what do you do with cement walls that big? They're just there. The only way to get rid of them, it would be to literally blow them up to dust. They're not going to do that, so they're there. So in Belgium, last couple things for today. The Germans had a great fear of guerrillas. Guerrillas. Remember what a guerrilla is? Guerrilla fighter. Belgium had a militia where all of the soldiers brought their weapons home. And the idea is, this kind of informal militia. These are the Belgian militia practicing. And the German thought is they might attack their supply lines. And they didn't want to leave a lot of troops there because they had to win fast and then move. And so their plan, or their real fear was these guerrillas. There weren't very many, it didn't really happen, but they were scared of it. And so they had a tactic to deal with these guerrillas. But before we get to that, these are German soldiers marching through Belgium. So it's a pretty rare picture from 1914. And then you see the cavalry, and the cavalry is kind of amazing. They're in the German field gray. The helmets are more ornamental. Just marching through, and then look at the cavalry. And they have lances that they're going to joust. Think about what that would do against a machine gun. It just gives you an idea that's kind of weird, mix of old and new. And this will be known as, last thing for today, the rape of Belgium. Because what Germany's going to do is use terror and reprisal to control the guerrillas. I'll get to the slave labor in just a second. Terror and reprisals. For any guerrilla attack, the orders for the German officer was use your judgment. The officer on the nearest commanding officer, but to take hostages in the nearest city, line them up and shoot them for reprisals for any attack. And outside the city of Devant, they lined up a quarter of the population when they thought there was a guerrilla attack. Here's a stylized painting of it, but you can imagine how Allied propaganda would use this. Here's a picture that came out after the war. Belgian civilians shot by German soldiers along the Meuse River. It should remind you of those pictures from the Philippines. Well, they did it. And you can imagine how Allied propaganda did this. On that happy note, grab your green papers. We should have enough time to come back, so leave your stuff here. Stay in the basement. Please be quiet, be polite. I'm very serious about that. The class in session. You know who you are. Stay in the basement, go to the library, and have fun registering. I really want you to enjoy it. And go. When you're done, you can just come on back down. No, you just need that. Actually, we'll come down together. I'm gonna lock the door. Turning the light off. Please be quiet in the hallways. Please be quiet. Luke, I need you. I know you scream, yell.
Might be the best thing I've ever seen, but you know.
Yeah, 4 minutes, 7 minutes.
I know.
Okay, be back in junior.
I'm ready for 4 minutes of class.
4 minutes.
God, I think, no.
3 minutes. 3 minutes.
Hundred question test right now.
All right, we have time for a quiz.
Actually, classes right now.
Oh.